Welcome. I'd like to explore with you how we have been programmed, taught as small children, how to hold reality to be, you know, taught what it is and how it is inaccurately, and how amazing to discover that it's just not like that, and how freeing that is. It's just remarkable. But it took a number of years to unfold that uh, misunderstanding, that misperception. And and I got to tell you, it's a bit of a challenge for me to try to now conceptualize it and put it in words, because once you see something as it more truly is, it's you just kind of you're just kind of, that's your flow. You're just kind of in that flow, and the old ways that you've held things just don't even come to mind anymore. So but it's so important, and it just really touches my heart. So I'm going to do my best to bumble along here and share with you uh, what has been discovered, and the meaningfulness of it that you can look into for yourself. And of course, I can only talk to you from my own direct experience, and then you can extrapolate as you will, to see what's true in your own reality. Because reality is a very subjective experience, and that too flies in the face of consensus reality duality. One of the primary relaxation for me was realizing that the whole aspect of judging, this is good, that's bad, this is right, that's wrong, you know, on this personal level, was just incredibly freeing. Um, Without this habit of judging this character as doing things right or doing things wrong, or better or worse. What began to be recognized ever more clearly is there's simply the flow of experiencing. There's not an experiencer experiencing this or that. There's simply experiencing. Now, we've learned, because when we were toddlers, we learned about you and me, uh, but that was learned. We were taught that as toddlers prior to language. There was no separation. There's just this flow of experiencing, this apparent textures, colors, just just you know we didn't have words for it. There was just these appearances, and that was the beauty of our innocence prior to language, that everything was this ongoing flow of experiencing. There was no A toddler does not have a sense of me separate from that, and everything is just a flow. Well, that hasn't changed, other than our ideas about everything. And, that can't be helped. So it really is a matter of rediscovering our innocence, rediscovering this wholeness of experience that is not divided into this, that, and the other thing. And one way that I played with experience in that way is to let the eyes go soft and fuzzy or look through peripheral vision. And you'll notice just swaths of textures and colors and shapes. And of course, thought can make explanations. Oh, well, that's because blah, blah, blah. But that's simply more conceptualizing, more explaining, and it's part of our programming. So I'm inviting you to explore this from really a place of just letting go of what you think you know from what you were taught, and just see what's here in this very moment without any ideas about it, just like, a child. Now, the other thing I want to mention is, you know, because of how we were taught, we learned that, there's something here in the brain that's, of course, conceptual. Children don't have that conceptual. There's something in the brain that's seeing behind my eyes. Small children don't have that yet because they don't have all of that conceptual ideology. So if we want to go back to that small child experiential uh, presence, we just begin to understand that, you know, we learned that there's a me seeing behind my eyes. And as you just let vision go soft and fuzzy, and at the same time, be aware of the breath, be aware of the inhale and exhale, be aware of sensation and the vision soft and fuzzy. It changes the perspective or perception a little bit of a me here doing something. And what shifts, at least in these moments, is experiencing. So what happens is, what softens is this noun, this, noun idea of an object here doing something. And what this moves into is simply experiencing. Life becomes like a verb: walking, talking, eating, writing, sleeping, shopping. It's like life becomes a verb without anyone doing anything. Now, that can sound very strange to some who are unfamiliar with this, but it took me it took me years to um, how do I say, to unfold this programming of this separate entity who had this history and this life and these problems and this need to improve, or this need to, you know, become something, whatever. It just there is an unfolding into a much deeper relaxation when these ideas and concepts are recognized for what they are, and this pattern of beliefs, which is what it is actually, begins to relax. So, how things are held to be, um, judgments are very popular in our upbringing. We're taught about judging good or bad or right or wrong or, all of this. So it becomes really kind of part of our identity of, who we think we are. And what we think is right or wrong, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of this. The thing is to begin to investigate. And so being with direct experience, uh, just breathing, experiencing without the ideas about it. Well, what I need to say first is realize how this deep habit of labeling everything, everything has a name, and we see a tree and we see a plant, and, everything is labeled. But again, if we come back to this um, unfocused, soft gazing, being with the breath, just this, there's this relaxation, really without a doer. And in this relaxation, what's recognized is simply life flowing. That's what I meant uh, about just life being a verb, life flowing. And then, of course, whatever appears, I mean, it's a continuous flow. So it's not static. And, there are continual appearances. Um, I can hear a dog bark. I can hear a siren go off. Someone could come out of the door and say, "Do you want some coffee?" A pain can arise. The wind can start to blow. Rain can start to pour. I mean, there's a continual flow of experiencing that is happening in this direct experience. And it's ongoing. I mean, even when you're like asleep, uh, dreams appear. So there's this ongoing flowing of experiencing. And what can happen as it's noticed, there can then be liking certain experience, and then there can be disliking others. Or the thought can go, oh, that shouldn't be happening, or I shouldn't have said that, or I wish that wasn't like that, or how can I change that? I mean, there's all this thought that is also part of the flow of experience moving through this reality. So the beauty is in noticing, simply noticing. Even if judgment arises, notice what we call judgment. Even if distress arises, pains, tension, uh, someone says something or does something, and there's this, what you might call a contraction or tightness or tension. Simply notice it. Notice and breathe, because one of the things that we weren't taught, but that can change everything, is that everything is welcome. And what do I mean by that? Everything is welcome, meaning it's showing up. You can't stop experiencing from showing up. Appearances simply appear, and whatever reactivity arises is part of that appearance. So holding the understanding or perception that everything is welcome just creates a bit more space and a bit more ease, because this is simply life flowing. I am not separate from this life flowing. I am this life flowing. It took me years studying with my teacher to begin to unfold this recognition and to live this reality in the way that it is. And so, I guess because I feel grateful and there's an inspiration to share with others who, you know, who are open to seeing reality and holding it a bit more lightly. And this is what I wish for anyone who is interested. And I'd love to hear from you if, if there's questions, how to be with this reality that flows in a more non-conceptual way. It doesn't mean that things change or stop. It just means that they're held differently, they're held more lightly, and this just has a very different feeling to it. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to connecting again.